Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu has written to the State House of Assembly to request for an extension of his medical leave. Akeredolu wrote that the request follows doctors' advice on the need for him to rest after recuperating. Akeredolu said Deputy Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa will continue to act as governor until there's a written declaration to the contrary. Meanwhile, National Chairman of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, yesterday declared that the ailing Ondo State Governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, was incapacitated and hospitalized. Adamu stated this at a meeting between the national leadership of the party and APC State Chairman. The national chairman also urged President Bola Tinubu to carry out the leadership of the party along in the appointment of ministers in his cabinet. Dr. Bati?
Well, first of all, let us wish Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, Governor of Ondo State, SAN, speedy recovery, as has been done by so many persons who are concerned about the state of his health. Now, yesterday, the APC chairman, National APC chairman, Senator Adamu, met with APC chairmen from the various states, strategy session, saying, oh, we've won, we got 20 governors from the last general elections. We can do more in these by-elections. He also talked to them about how the president will have to carry the party along in making sure he gives them, opportunities to be part of the government. That's fine. That's politics. The one major thing that Senator Abdullahi Adamu brought up was that, Governor Akeredolu of Ondo State is going through extreme incapacity. He used the word yesterday, extreme incapacity. And that gives us concern. And we can only join the chairman of the All Progressives Congress in praying and for his speedy recovery. However, what does the law say? Now, Governor Akeredolu is a senior advocate of Nigeria. And you see that what he has done is to try to follow the law. Section 190 of the Constitution says that if the governor of a state is going to be away for either on vacation or an extended period, he has to write the Speaker of the House of Assembly to ask for leave to be absent. If he fails to do so, the same Constitution, provides thereafter that after 21 days, the State House of Assembly can say the Deputy Governor should act. But Governor Akeredolu of Ondo State has followed the law, being an officer in the Temple of Justice and a senior advocate of Nigeria, by first informing the House of Assembly that he will be proceeding on medical leave. Secondly, by reminding the House of Assembly this time around that he's seeking an extension. And so Mr. Lucky Ayedatiwa, who has a very instructive name, by the way, if we do a transliteration of Ayedatiwa, who has now been acting as Ayedatiwa.
I know it's Ayedatiwa, but if you do a translation, it's Ayewatida.
Well, no, I don't want to go that way. But I don't want to stretch the transliteration that way. But what I see here is that, the senior advocate has shown that he's truly a lawyer. He has asked for an extension. However, the chairman of the party talking about extreme incapacity, that gives me some worry. What the Constitution says in section 189, sub 1, is permanent incapacity. So what are we dealing with in Ondo State? Is it permanent incapacity? Because for the chairman of the party to have used the word extreme incapacity gives me some worry. Okay, as someone who knows Governor Akeredolu, who also knows Mr. Ayedatiwa very well. So, but I hope we will not reach a situation where the Ondo State House of Assembly will have to start invoking Section 188 of the Constitution about grounds for the removal of a governor from office. A governor can only leave office in specific ways already defined in the Constitution from Section 188 to Section 190. What are these circumstances? Death, impeachment, or removal from office. That's what the Constitution says. Or resignation, or permanent incapacity. We hope that what we're dealing with here is not either permanent incapacity or extreme incapacity, as Adamu said, and that Governor Akeredolu will recuperate very well and return to his work in Ondo State. But in the meantime, what they have followed in Ondo State is a constitutional process. If the governor is not available, the deputy governor takes over. If the president is not available, the vice president takes over, so that there's no vacuum and the business of governance continues.
Okay, so one thing is certain. Ondo State has been in the news recently for all, the reasons in the world, from insecurity to what is happening with the governor now. And we wish the governor a speedy recuperation. We wish him well. But all of this has caused a lot of chaos in Ondo State. And that's why I want public office holders to also be brave enough to tell citizens the nature of their health challenges, what they're going through, what is happening, so that citizens know how to plan. Since all of this saga started, in fact, the deputy governor felt the heat. There's been all sorts of allegations against him because of the health condition of the governor that he's been able to clear. And there's been a power struggle in Ondo as we speak. All sorts of actors in the system trying to grab power. But if we have a system where the governor, and like he has rightly done by the law, says he wants to go abroad, he notifies the people the nature of his illness, there's a steady update, then we can understand what is going on. Or rather a case that it is the governor's camp that writes about the level of incapacitation, not the party chairman of the APC saying he's got extreme incapacitation. Because on one hand, we're hearing two narratives. The governor is saying he wants more time to be able to recuperate. The chairman of the APC is saying extreme incapacitation. So where are we going? What do we believe? And that's why information management is key in our country. And that's why I keep saying public office holders should also do well to tell the people the nature of their illness. Till date, we never knew the illness President Aradua was suffering from. And that's why I also put in one thing I've always been putting forward. A medical record of our political personnel in power, public office holders, is prerequisite. Even when they are running for elections, they should release a medical record so that people know what they're dealing with. Because it's not as easy as we say it is. As we speak in Ondo State, there's a big power tussle going on across different camps. And I just hope it's not hampering governance of the people. We wish Arakore, Rotimi Akeredolu, a speedy recovery, wish him the best. For former President Olusegun Obasanjo yesterday, took a swipe at National Assembly members. Obasanjo, in calling out the lawmakers, said the outrageous salary package and humongous remuneration was neither constitutional nor moral. According to Obasanjo, salary allocation for elected officials is the responsibility of Revenue Mobilization Allocation of Fiscal Commission, RMAFC, RAMFAC, which I like to call it, which he said the lawmakers are jettisoned to fix salaries for themselves. The former president spoke in Ado-Ekiti during a colloquium to mark Afe Babalola's 60th anniversary at the bar. He argued that nobody will appreciate democracy until it has impacted positively on the life of ordinary people. A lot to say about this sector.
Well, yes, a lot to unpack there. But first, let's start with Chief Afe Babalola, SAN, a legal luminary, a colossus at the bar, an icon of the legal profession, who has been an officer in the Temple of Justice for 60 years. So the event yesterday, celebrating him, his 60 years at the bar, was a worthy event. And it was not in any way surprising that persons turned out, both locally, nationally, and internationally, to honor a man who has done so much for the profession. This will not be the appropriate forum to begin to talk about some of the landmark cases that he has handled before their lawsuits, and in which he has secured victories, and which have formed part of the jurisprudence, the development of the jurisprudence in Nigeria. So we congratulate him on the occasion of his 60th anniversary as an officer in the Temple of Justice. But more than that, the more important thing about Chief Afe Babalola, SAN, is his diligence, his hard work, his commitment. I read an interview by one of his sons, who is also a senior advocate. You see, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. If you're an armed robber, don't be surprised if you produce a child who is a thief, who is doing small theft all over the place. But people who are distinguished also end up producing, children who look like them. His son was saying, look, his father is the father of SANs. I mean, the Afe Babalola Chambers has produced generations of lawyers who have become senior advocates of Nigeria. I think one of my children even worked with one of his daughters when she returned from England. So, this is a man who has touched many lives in the profession, either in the courtroom or in the chambers, helping the development of the law. Now, the second thing is also about his commitment to education. He's the founder of Afe Babalola University in Ado-Ekiti. And that university, has also distinguished itself in many ways. Its products have done very well. And, everyone who has visited the place, I once followed President Jonathan to an event in the place. It was impressive what Chief Afe Babalola has done with that university, giving back to society, building generations, building a legacy while, he's still on his feet and able to make a difference. After all, it was Hubert Humphrey who says every individual can make a difference. So the man we celebrate is a man who has made very significant difference. Also with his philanthropy, his investment in worthy causes across the country. Only recently, we were told he donated, he instituted a scholarship scheme in his alma mater, King's College, at the University of London, from where he got his law degree and was called to the English bar, And you see all of that. So these are the diamonds that we talk about when we talk about distinguished Nigeria. So he's a man deserving of honor, and we wish him many more years of continued service in the Temple of Justice, and also to community, and also to Nigeria. Now, to go straight to what President Obasanjo said, we have always said it in this forum, that the National Assembly is overpaid. Members of the National Assembly are overpaid and underworked, grossly underworked. Most of the times, what we see in Nigeria is a National Assembly that has become a retirement home, a siesta space for tired governors who have nothing more to offer, who just go there to go and snore through sessions. And the only excuse they give you is that they are doing committee meetings, they are doing committee work, and yet they get humongous pay that they fix by themselves. What President Obasanjo is saying, he's talking about, is about huge salary. The point we make here on this program, that the emphasis should be more on service. Not people living a parasitic, gluttonous life at the expense of other Nigerians. So you cannot fault what President Obasanjo said in that regard. And he says, lawmakers fixing their own pay in accordance with their level of greed is unacceptable. And he should know, he has been president of Nigeria, he has been head of state. Okay? So that's that about that. But there were other issues that, in fact, came up at that event. You had Femi Falana, SAN, saying that President Tinubu should deal with the matter of corruption. That some of the people who have been visiting him, according to his own estimation, are very corrupt people. And that he needs to deal with the problem. So you see that Mr. Falano SAN and President Obasanjo, they are on all fours in terms of talking about integrity and service and accountability. And then, of course, Bishop Kuka also spoke at the event. And Bishop Kuka was saying, you can't develop democracy if you don't deepen your democracy. You can't, in fact, the country cannot grow if your democracy is not standing on terra firma, which was also, you know, a point that I haven't seen anybody again about. But above all, the celebrant himself came forward and said, look, the problem is the Constitution. Chief Afe Babalola SAN writes a column for Nigerian Tribune. So his views are very well known on many of these matters. But he made a point about, look, take a look at that Constitution. There are many omissions on that. Isha Sage SAN, many years back, before we even started all these current discussions, did a paper pointing out all the errors in that Constitution. Everybody else has done so, but nobody is addressing the matter. So Chief Afe Babalola, using the occasion of his birthday, to remind us again of the need to make the Nigerian Constitution a people's constitution, a proper justification of the first line in the document that we, the people, our laws must represent our interests and our laws must be respected, as Chief Obasanjo pointed out, by those who have taken the oath of office and oath of allegiance to defend the same constitution.
Truth has to be said. There are many, many problems on ground, and we know these problems. But the question is, do we have the willingness to solve them? Going to the subject matter, former President Olusegun Obasanjo saying that the National Assembly earns so much. Yes, we know they earn humongous amount of money for doing nothing. This is the same National Assembly that when they even ought to do the work of constitutional reform or review, they don't do a good job at it. They turn it into a charade. National Assembly members even start to abuse citizens that come for that constitutional review, and we don't get anything done. We've been able to point out many lacunas in this last election as regards the electoral laws. It is time they get at it, but the National Assembly doesn't get anything done. But how do you expect so much from the National Assembly when it's become a retired home for governors and other spent political forces? The way to solve the problem is to have a rejig of the National Assembly. Why do we need over 400 men? Can't we just have just one house that can truly account for the people and do things to better the lot of the people? You see, the problem with us is that the place we ought to invest in, which is our economy, which is the private sector to grow the economy, we have not done that. In developed nations, people go to government to serve, and they go to the private sector to make money. In Nigeria, people leave the private sector because we've not developed the private sector, and they go to government to make money. And that's why we have the challenges we have. So until we start de-emphasizing the over-monetarization and politicization and dollarization of our politics, then we will not go anywhere. Because most of these National Assembly members are there to recoup their money. As regards Mr. Afe Babalola himself, stellar human being, defender of justice, you know his thoughts and opinion about this country. He has constantly stayed the course, and he has given back to many generations. His name will never be forgotten.